Welcome to TORAH Talk. Okay, you really have got to stop that.
Why? The music moves me.
Broadcasting live from Kingston, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT, the Twisted New Testament, with Rabbi Stuart Federow. Welcome, Rabbi. Good to have you on the show again. If I could just figure out a way to block your screen until I'm done, that would be.
You are no fun.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, cool. Well, we are back. We're live. We're good to go. I hope everybody out there had a great Mother's Day if you're celebrating it. I know I had a really good one with my lovely wife and the children, and my mom. Unfortunately, she's still in the hospital, but I will tell you this, it's really an amazing thing. She was in the hospital for 2.5 days before I put that post up, and Rabbi, you commented on it as well. And she that morning she said she was just feeling awful, and then I was like, that's it, time to put the post up. Well, later on that afternoon, it was like 75 plus whatever it was, Facebook comments and prayers going that way. And then I called her back. You better stop yawning. Quit it.
I can't help it.
Stop. Anyway, Baruch Hashem, that afternoon, she said that she's felt better now than she's actually felt in the past 3 days. So Baruch Hashem.
Good.
So she is on the incline.
Thank God.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So wonderful. Thank you all for your prayers. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. And it was in the name of Moses, not in the name of Jesus. Sorry.
Actually, it was name.
I had to throw that out there.
We wouldn't pray in the name of Moses anyway. We pray in the name of God.
I know, isn't it? It's just amazing. There's so many differences. Today was a really, really wonderful experience. Yesterday, or the day before, whenever it was, it was Friday, right? Yeah, I think it was Friday when that Jehovah's Witness lady had showed up at my client's house, and there was a lot of posting and stuff. And at the time, it was kind of interesting because I wasn't really sure where my client stood, although I kind of assume Christianity on pretty much everyone, even when they don't practice it, because that's kind of where they default to because their parents were Christian or whatever. But I wasn't really sure, and it wasn't until we were right in the middle of the deep-rooted conversation to when she said a few key phrases. Obviously, the first one was all it took. And but she was very open-minded today, as if Friday wasn't strange enough and awkward enough. Today we come back at the job site, and neither one of us is talking about it at all. We're just kind of like hush hush. And so finally, I just had to ask her. I said, "Well, did you find those links?" She asked me for the links, the video links to send her. And she goes, "Yes, I did." And then we started talking. And she goes, "I got to tell you, William." She goes, "When you told me that," she goes, "I just got the creeps, man." She goes, "I just totally went, oh my God, I can't believe this guy." But then she said, "But I kept thinking about it, and I just kept." She goes, and then we started talking about more and more things, and it's always the basic stuff. I never take anybody down the road to the Talmud or to the traditional writings because
you don't have to.
You don't have to. In fact, you shouldn't. In fact, I would say that anybody watching the show, you should never go there unless they can pay their way there. Meaning, if they can prove to you something from the scriptures, then let them go into the Talmud and the Midrashical writings. But which they can't. That'll never happen. But the point is, don't let them drag you into the writings whenever they can't even prove it on the basic, simple text of the Bible. It's a complete waste of time. So don't even go there. In fact, if you feel like you need to engage with someone, I would say you set the parameters with that person. You tell them, "Hey, we'll talk about this as long as A, B, C, D, E," and you lay those things out. Always use the Hebrew Scriptures. Don't use the New Testament as the proof, right? And then never double back. Don't ever go back to something that you already slammed in the hole to begin with, because it's a waste of time. If they start doing that, they're just proving themselves to not be open-minded at all anyway. They're just simply trying to battle you, and in which case, that's when you need to disengage and just move on. That's my advice. Just saying. Wow, it's been a great week, Rabbi. Especially very, very busy, very, very busy for me. And this is also a good platform for me to extend a public apology to my children. Last night, I had this idea to put this desk, because we're still in my office here. It's really cramped. And to put them up on wheels, and so I built these little platforms for wheels and stuff, and I was trying to hurry because it was late, and I was grumpy, and I was snapping at the children and stuff, and anyway, a lot of stuff kind of just transpired, and I was just being a butthead. And anyway, during the time, one of the legs slipped off, and the table bounced and did all this other stuff. And I was like, well, the legs ain't going to work. That's okay. We'll just put it away. Well, today we go to getting ready to log on the computer this morning to actually try to set up a couple things for tonight, and the computer wouldn't turn on. I was like, well, that's really weird. I mean, it was like in the very beginning when we first got this new computer, it was like Windows was doing this weird thing, right, where it wouldn't boot. And he wound up having to reinstall Windows and put a new motherboard. And I was thinking, this is not possible. It can't be. Man, I rebooted this thing 15, 20 times, and I'm not stretching that at all. And still nothing. And I finally got a hold of Oliver, which is my computer guy. He'd just been in school all day. And he called me back, and he was with me about 10 minutes on the phone. And then we found out that it wasn't actually my computer that was the problem. It was actually a monitor, one of the monitor cables. Whenever the table bounced, it actually pulled one of the cables on the back of the computer, bent the prong, and it was causing mixed signals going back and forth to my main monitor. So it made it look like Windows wasn't booting up. And so, but anyway, so with that said, I made a trip to the homeschool desk and apologized to my two children for being a bonehead last night. And I'm telling you what's really interesting. Everything, I truly believe everything happens for a reason. Most people who don't want to believe that is because they don't want to feel accountable for what they've done. And I don't want to put that as a blanket statement, but I'm just saying in general. But for me, I like the fact, Rabbi, that I think that everything happens for a reason, because if it does, then I can control my outcome. I can be a good boy. You're going to get blessings. You're going to get blessed. You're not going to have all these, and I know there's a lot of people who would 100% disagree with that, and I don't really care. I know what I've tested over and over again, and just like this last night was another perfect example. I was being a moron and mistreating my children verbally, and all of a sudden today I've come home and I'm frustrated with all this stuff, and it was something that I did, my own mistake. Anyway, it's one of those things. So far we've been here for about 10 minutes, and I haven't even let you say hi yet. So you should probably strangle me, and that way it'll cut off my air supply and I can't talk.
I'm just resting, slowly falling asleep. Go right ahead. Sorry.
Oh, man. But anyway, so it's good to see everybody.
But William,
yes.
I do want to say hi to someone special.
Wonderful.
Dorleon Attar from Brazil.
Really?
He is heading up the Brazilian counter-missionary efforts.
Wonderful.
So Dor is listening from Brazil.
Wonderful. Wow. Shalom Delane. Lori, Christelle. Wow, there's a lot of good viewers out there. Well, they're all good viewers. I can't say there's a lot of them, meaning some of them are not. Okay, well, I don't know about Joshua. I'm totally kidding, dude. Joshua, you're awesome, man. Green Acres, best. Hey, you know what? Jason Acres. Every time I see anything, if I see lint on my screen, I call Jason. Jason, what do I do? Get a rag, William, and some Windex. That usually fixes the problem. Oi. Okay. Well, I guess we should probably get on to a couple things. First, I should sign in. We are officially signed in for the phone calls. So you ladies and gentlemen can actually call in now. Let me make sure I've got the right screen. I am one monitor short, so I'm having to overlay a bunch of different applications to do this broadcast tonight. So if you see me leaning in, it's because I'm trying to look around my microphone. Yes.
William, before it moves up off the page on
Yes.
the live chat, Timothy Wilson says, is there any possibility that the J-Man was influenced in Egyptian mysticism while quote-unquote in Egypt?
Okay,
If I may ask what's on my mind.
I would
see that?
No, I didn't see that. I'm looking now.
Okay, it's Timothy Wilson.
Oh, yeah, I see it. That's actually a really good point. Some people have even said that whenever he went as far, it kept going further and further east. I don't really remember the region, but they think that he may have even picked up a lot of the mystical teachings that's in the New Testament from there. What are your thoughts on that?
That just assumes so much.
But
it assumes that what we have in the New Testament is actually what happened. True.
Yeah, right.
And in his question, he even has the words "in Egypt" in quotes, and he's right to put it in quotes because to me that story always stuck out as a little weird, and it sounded like that he was in Egypt. The story about him being in Egypt was a made-up story,
right?
To make it sound like he fulfilled a verse which wasn't even a verse about the Messiah. When it says and I forgot the verse about coming out of Egypt.
Oh yeah, from out of Egypt I called my son.
Out of Egypt I called. Thank you. I couldn't think that quick. So out of Egypt I called my son. So they have to write a story about him going into Egypt so that he could be called out of Egypt.
Wow, that's
so
cool.
I never took that story as anything historical.
Right.
So as a matter of fact, when you talk about him picking up mysticism in Egypt, how old was he when he left Egypt? If that story is at all true, which I don't even believe was true.
Sure.
3, 5, 10. How much would a kid pick up about mysticism when he was that young?
Wow. Well, I definitely would like somebody to call in if you can, 855-952-4253. It's 855-95-BIBLE, so you can remember it on the run. If you are like running through the mall trying to shop while you're listening to us on Sunday and you can't remember the number, just hopefully your phone will have the ABCs, 855-95-BIBLE. So Christelle Williams says, can I fight the missionaries?
The answer is yes, and you should.
Well, you might want to specify. I mean, you don't want to carry a hammer, and like a,
Well, yes. No, we're not asking you to do body slams like in wrestling, but
right.
Depends on how and what the circumstances are. You got to pick your own battles. You got to pick the battle you feel is worth fighting and worth winning.
Right.
And when you feel good in one way, you've decided to fight the missionaries. You may have the exact same circumstances another day and choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on a lot of things.
So what's your struggles for the week? Do you have anything that you've, in the past few weeks, where you've encountered in the sense of missionaries?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
For me,
people quoting passages there's no way they could read themselves.
Oh yeah, right.
From rabbinic literature, which means they're getting it from what I call the Messianic Misquote of the Month magazines.
The Eminem special.
Yes, exactly.
That's funny.
Messianic Misquote of the Month magazines, and there's no way they'd even know how to read it.
I'm seeing a lot of that. A lot of people like copying and pasting from these websites.
Oh boy, do they!
Man, and it's.
I also don't understand people choosing to take a clearly anti-Semitic website seriously.
Yeah, right. It's unbelievable.
That's about it, though.
Right.
So, William, what were the questions, the comments that this lady was saying that you overheard that you felt compelled to respond to?
Actually, there was only one comment she made. The rest of the comments I made.
What did she make?
She made the comment, which is what caught my attention in the first place. See, I thought originally, I didn't know that it was a Jehovah's Witness, although I probably should have assumed that because they're the ones who usually go door to door. But whenever she was talking to her, I could overhear her saying, she goes, that's something that's always confused me, though. She goes, I don't really understand that. And that's all I heard. So my introduction
that she didn't understand what? Say it again?
That was just it. I didn't know what.
That
was my.
So that's when you picked up your ears.
That's where my ears perked up, and I was like, "Oh, maybe this is a Christian who's trying to." And this lady, maybe she's already got questions, and so that's why I was like, "I've got to chime in for sure." And so when I went in, it was just a matter of minutes, I think, a few minutes, I found that she was actually a Jehovah's Witness, and my customer was actually a Christian. And she, so this morning, whenever we were talking, and I actually kind of probed the conversation, it was she was like, William, I got to tell you, she goes, when you told me this whole thing about rejecting Jesus, she goes, I got to tell you, I was a bit creeped out. And she's a sweet lady. She's actually very open-minded, because today we carried on about a half an hour conversation on it, and covered a lot of ground, man, a lot of ground. False prophecies, prophecies that don't exist, coming from the Gospels, the chronology of the Gospels. We covered the Passover sacrifice that had nothing to do with sin. We covered Yom Kippur and the scapegoat. I mean, we covered everything you could possibly imagine in a short amount of time.
Good for you.
And needless to say, I wish that Jehovah's Witness was here today, so she could have listened in. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
Probably give her a heart attack.
Yeah. Yep. That's funny. So one thing I told her was, I said, it's interesting. I said, every time just like this is actually what happened when the Jehovah's Witness lady was sitting on the couch with her. I was looking at my customer talking to her, the Jehovah's Witness lady was looking at me while I was speaking, and every time I would make a statement, she would turn, and instead of answering me, trying to give me an answer to it, she would turn to my customer and try to comfort her in what I just said, which means she didn't have the answer for it either. So
she probably never even heard the argument.
Right. So
it was probably never ever heard any kind of different way of interpretation of any biblical verse.
Yeah. So it was very intriguing. I mean, the whole idea, and what really shocked her the most was the fact that there's no such thing as a virgin birth in Isaiah 7. I said, we just in this last week's Torah portion, we see the word virgin in this last week's Torah portion, or this week's. I can't remember one of the two. I think it's this week actually. Bihar. No, it was last week. I think. Anyway, in the last 2 weeks, and you can see it. Betula, right? Not Ha'alma. And I even explained the Ha part of Alma to her, and I said, showed to her about how they both knew who the woman was. It was like the mysterious woman is going to happen 700 years later, And I said, besides, like Rabbi Singer said before, there is no sign in a birth. There's no sign in a virgin birth. That's something you can't prove. Especially back then, you couldn't prove it. So how's that a sign anyway?
And a sign has to be something visible to everybody who looks at it, like a street sign.
And it's got to be obvious.
Like a stop sign.
Yeah, it's got to be absolutely obvious. So, Nicholas, shalom, brother. Hi, connection will hopefully stay good. Yeah, have y'all guys... I haven't seen any negative feedback, and my speeds are really nice, so I think we're going to be okay.
Your speed's great, but there were times earlier tonight that all of a sudden your voice would not be heard, and then it would come right back again.
Healy. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, it was going in and out, but it's fine now, so it doesn't matter.
Cool. Nice. Okay, Jason Akers from Green Acres Pest Control. Mary, I'm not pregnant. I'm a virgin. Joseph, yeah, sure, Mary, sure. Jason,
there are
crazy,
cartoons,
dude.
there are comic strips with that in it.
So, oh my gosh, I referred to J.C. Penney. Actually, I heard a rabbi the people. Here's the thing. This is something I have to say. Some of the people that I interviewed, they do not say. They won't just say JC, because when you do, that's abbreviating, and everybody knows that's Jesus the Christ.
JC,
but you can't really say. But you can't really say, if you know that he wasn't the Messiah, you really can't say JC, because you're basically confessing Jesus the Christ.
Yeah, the C part is the Messiah part.
Right, C is the Messiah part. So, so when people say J.C. Penney or
Jean-Claude Penney,
Jean-Claude Van Damme, whatever the case may be, they're not really. I don't think they're being disrespectful. Some of them may be, just to be like smart alecks, but most of them aren't. They're really, there's a verse in the Tanakh that says, "Be circumspect, and do not let the names of other gods come from your lips." And so, Jesus, whether a lot of Christians want to admit it, even ex-Christians, they don't want to think that Jesus is a God, but a God is what you make, right? So if someone or something is being worshipped, then that's a God, right? So if God said don't mention their names, that's why I would say I would put Jesus, or some people put something about
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus, or like J. I saw something with Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Now that I don't think was being respectable, but it was funny. So
have no problem with not being respectful.
And if you really want to go crazy with that, you could do like Swiss cheese and call it Holy Jesus, whatever. Okay.
That was good. That was very good.
Oh,
William,
man.
that was very funny. Good
that,
to you.
That was, but I probably shouldn't have said that. That's okay.
Oh, who cares?
Dude.
writes, there are so many websites out there that now appear Jewish at first glance, and then after a few minutes of poking around, you'd find out that they're on the JC bandwagon big time. Sad, really. You're right, it's sad. It also makes me angry, because they're presenting themselves as something they're not.
Right.
That's called deceptive practices. At least 3 different locations in the New Testament, Paul justifies his deceptive practices. But they do it. They think they're okay by doing it. And, it's not only sad, it pisses me off.
Yep, I heard Rabbi Yaron Reuven, who I was listening to a little thing he did. It's like I think it was a short message he did. It was like 10 or 15 minutes or something, and he was talking about that this really, it's kind of a new epidemic really in the past couple hundred years, the whole messianic things where they're coming in, and they're saying, of course we know what they say. They don't tell you that they're a Christian. they say were Jews, and you have to really be careful around them, because if you're not careful, they will be in your midst for 6 months to a year before you ever realize they were believers in the New Testament Yashke, or Jesus.
Right.
And it's really bad, because it's really infiltrating something in a very perverted way. And it's deception at its greatest heights. I mean, for anybody to... And here's something I don't understand too, Rabbi. You know about this because I told you this is about 2 years ago. We had some friends that actually came here. They were Messianic. But then when they found out that we were kind of going to be converting and all this other stuff, they began to withdraw talking about, Yeshua. And after a while, then they said, well, they're going to be converting. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. You're going to be converting to Judaism too. This is fantastic. And then about a couple months later, they come back to the house and we're talking. And I was just assuming they already had ditched the whole New Testament Messiah figure. And then I found out, like months later, after they're planning on converting, that they're still Messianic. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So you're going to the Beis Din and you're going to lie to them and deceive them. But didn't Jesus say that if you deny me before men, I'll deny you? What's the point? Why deny it to try to get converted if you're going to be rejected by Jesus for even doing the act to begin with?
The Lord hates a liar.
So it's really aggravating. By the way, the phone lines are open, but somebody said turn the volume up. I don't have any missed calls, by the way. Last call I had was actually yesterday, so you can call in. The number is on your screen. I may even try to test call myself to make sure. Yes.
While we're waiting for somebody to call, Sean says, ask the rabbi if the Midrash quotes Isaiah 53:5 as the Messiah. I heard the Midrash in Zohar quotes it as a verse about the Messiah. And question, can a verse be messianic without being about the Messiah?
Interesting.
And the answer is yes. The quote can be about the time period when the Messiah comes.
Right.
And the Isaiah 53 is about the nations acknowledging after the Messiah comes that the Jews have been right all along. So the passage is messianic. It's just not about the Messiah. It's about the Jewish people.
Hey, caller, real quick. Caller, please turn your computer down if you don't mind. I can hear it in the background. They're probably watching the computer because I still hear it. They'll catch it in about 10 more seconds.
I can hear too.
I'm going to turn it up so I can tell when they turn it down. They just heard me talk.
Hello?
Hi!
Hey, good rule of thumb for you and for everybody who actually calls in. Once you call in, listen to the phone. Don't watch the computer because there's like a 25-second lag between by the time I speak and the time you hear it. So this happens all the time. I'll say hello, and there's like no one there for like 20 seconds, and then they hear. So do me a favor, turn your computer down if you don't mind. And then tell us your name and where you're calling from. Welcome to the show, by the way. Are you still with us, caller? Caller, are you still there?
If I turn my computer down, I'm not sure if I'll be able to hear you through the phone. I don't know if there's an issue with the...
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, go ahead and tell us your question, and then... I
can't hear you through the phone if I turn my computer completely down.
Oh, I see. Okay, go ahead and leave it up, and we'll just we'll focus on your voice. That'll be fine. You know what? This isn't going to work because he can only. I just hung up because he can only hear us through his video player, and it's going to take 3 minutes just to get the question out. So, caller, if you want to call back from another line so you can actually talk directly to me because it doesn't work. It takes too long to get the questions out, or you can send a message on the YouTube channel. I don't mind that at all. Okay. So let's see. There was something we were going to talk about, or I was going to roll off onto. I don't remember what it was. Had to do with the Messianics posing, right? And with the whole idea of faking their identity. You know?
Excuse the interrupt. Yeah, Crystal Williams. I know some Messianics that buried their dad in a Jewish cemetery, and 10 real Jews did the Kaddish without knowing. Is it Lashon Hara if I call the rabbi and tell him that they were fakers? No, it's not Lashon Hara.
No, not at all. They're imposters.
If you're telling somebody that it's not whether what you're telling them is true or not. It's the matter.
Right.
It's the motives behind doing it. And by telling the rabbi that they were lying and that they have a Christian buried in their Jewish cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He needs to know that
you're protecting them and you're helping them understand what's going on behind their backs.
Right.
You're doing it to protect them and to expose the deception.
Right. Okay, let's check this call. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
wil'Liam
Yes.
and Rabbi Federow, if you can hear me.
I sure can.
Absolutely.
I can't hear you, but I will ask my question if you can hear me.
Go right ahead.
My question is, hopefully I'm not talking to myself.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Or talking over you guys. I apologize, but I can't hear a thing. But my question is in Genesis 32, where it talks about Jacob wrestling, my family claims that this is a God himself in flesh, in man. I believe that there's multiple views, including that this is the guardian angel of Esau. And I just wanted to know if there's any direct places I can point to clarify that it is an angel and not God as a man. And I appreciate the question or the answer, and I'll tune in to listen.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Okay, good deal. Okay, so Genesis 32. I'm going to pull that up right now.
Take a look at 32:1.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Where's the English? King James. Okay, Jacob went on his way. Oh, let me put it up on the screen so that everybody can share and care. Okay, I'll put it up on the screen in just a minute because I don't actually have that screen prop ready. I'll just read it for you for now. So Jacob, and 32:1 of Genesis, and Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. See, I never saw that before. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host," and he called the name of that place Mahanaim. I want to see, is that how it is in Hebrew? I've never noticed that before, actually.
Which verse are you on? I was reading ahead.
32:1. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Damn, yeah, it sure does. It does actually pluralize that whole setup. So while you read, do me a favor, read what you're reading while I set the screen up for everybody to see.
All right. I'm reading from Genesis 32:1, and it begins right off the bat by saying these are angels. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host," and he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Mahanaim would mean Ayim on the end is duality. So it'd be like two camps. Okay, and that's what he does. He creates two camps.
Yes, plural, right?
Okay, yes. Let's see. So Jacob gets very afraid of meeting his brothers, and if Esau comes to one company and smiteth the other company which is left shall escape. Okay, one of the reasons people give for the Jews being scattered all over the world is that when anti-Semitism rises up and destroys the community in one place, since we're scattered, Judaism and the Jewish people as a people survive. Okay, but at any rate, that's not his question. He's talking about from approximately, where is it? Genesis 32, verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. And he said, "Let me go, for the day breaks." And he said, "I will not let you go, except you bless me." And he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he says, "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed." Okay. Other translations have that as, let me find it.
What verse are you on?
Wait a minute. Beginning with 25 and following.
Oh, verse 25?
Okay.
Wow, that's way down.
Yeah, and following.
Okay, cool.
It says,
Complete Jewish Bible says,
your name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for you have wrestled with God and with men, and you have prevailed.
Okay.
Jacob says, "Tell me your name," and he says, "Why are you asking me about my name?" And he blessed him, and he called the name of the place Peniel, because I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Okay, first of all, if it had been seen God, his life would not have been preserved, because we have in the biblical text in the Torah that nobody can see me and live. Okay, that's one thing.
Right.
So if it had been God, okay, Jacob would have died. More importantly, the very first verse of the paragraph tells you that Jacob sees angels. Now, often, when human beings are confronted with someone that you later find out are angels, they appear like human beings. Okay, God comes to see Abraham, and Abraham lifts up his eyes in the distance and sees three men, leaves the presence of God to go take care of human beings because God can take care of himself. And he thinks they're men until they start giving him information that only, an angel would have. And you got the same thing here. It says, number 1 verse, Jacob went on his way and the angels of God met him. Jacob said when he saw them, this is God's camp. And he called the name of that place Machanaim, which means 2 camps, the I am on the end. And then he does exactly what he said he was going to do when he uses the phrase Machanaim. He splits his group into 2 camps.
Right.
And then when it says he's alone, he's talking with the angel, and basically the angel is acting exactly like you'd expect an angel to act. He's not going to tell you his name because that gives you power over him. Angels don't want any human being to have power over them. Okay, and he speaks on behalf of God like an angel of God would be doing.
Okay, let me say something real
fast. By the way, when it says you've striven with God and with men and you've prevailed, the idea isn't that this is God and a man at the same time. He's making a reference to his struggle with human beings, which we know from Jacob's history, and his struggle with God. You may remember that from the very beginning,
right.
God says, I will be with you until I bring you back to this place. And Jacob says, no. If you bring me back to this place, then you'll be my God. So, basically, in that interplay, Jacob is sort of outwitting God by saying, no. It's not that you bring me back to this place and then you go on. It's from the point you bring me back that you become my God, because now I fully, completely trust you and, everything's okay.
Interesting.
And that's the reference to striving with God and with men and prevailing.
Okay, I have to make a note for all the callers out there. Well, I've lost 2 calls already. When you call in, be prepared to wait for a few minutes. So we can't always take the call right when it comes, but I will answer it.
We only have one line.
Yeah, there's only one line.
We only have one line.
Yeah. So call back. If you called once, call back again. In fact, the last number. Oh, it's not even going to show me. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to update while I'm actually on while I'm live right now. So, but if you call,
Sean, wait, give me one more second.
Go ahead. If you got more questions,
Sean just put up there. It says Sean is also asking at the end. It says Jacob wrestles with a man whom they claim is God, and the claim is that the man was an angel of God, not God.
Right.
Okay. They're saying that he's God because they want it to be a man and God at the same time, like they're Jesus. But if that was true, it can't be true because it contradicts other verses.
Or they're wanting to say it's like a representation, like a God in the flesh feel.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And they'll either say it's a shadow, or they'll say, "Oh no, that was actually Jesus who came with the."
Then they would actually. That just reminded me. One of the topics we talked about today was the Trinity. She goes, as we were finishing up our conversation today with my client, she said, "So are you telling me this? So this whole thing with the Trinity?" She goes, I said, "It's all made up." She goes, "Are you serious? This is an older woman. She's probably my mother's age, and she's just, you could just see this sadness in her face about how I'm being duped like that, right?" And so it was really quite a few touching moments with this whole thing. But yeah, so this whole thing about having a man God, they're trying to patch together everywhere. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Now, I do kind of remember one for this situation for my client. Okay. I'm hoping she's actually watching. If not, I'll refer the video to her later so she can watch it again.
Okay.
But what she said, she goes, so the whole idea of the Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, and then God the Spirit, right? She goes, so you're telling me there's no Holy Spirit? And I told her there's God, there's like the Shekinah glory, but I was like, it's the essence of God. I mean, it's not like a separate entity. Was I wrong in saying that?
Here's how I just explained it to someone on the phone.
Okay.
These are different manifestations of God, where God appears to the human beings. So, for example, in a burning bush, in a cloud of fire by night, in a cloud by day, leading the Jewish people, the ex-Hebrew slaves, as they wandered in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
And the Holy Spirit is also at its Shekhinah, not Shekinah or Shekinah,
right?
But it's Shekhinah, and it's considered to be a feminine aspect of God, but it's still a manifestation of God. It's not God. And we're not going to pray to a part of it, a part of God, to talk to the rest of God. That's
right.
It's schizophrenic for one thing, and it also contradicts the Hebrew scriptures on another level. And would a person pray to the burning bush?
Yeah, that's a great.
If the burning bush is a manifestation
that's a really good
of God,
point. Yeah.
Then why don't we pray to a burning bush too?
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
And
I never thought about that. That's fun.
Have you ever heard the term? It's a fancy term. It's technically a religious studies term, academic term called the numinous.
No, sir, I sure have not.
All right. Well, okay. The numinous means what you feel when you feel like you are communing with God. Okay, and the Shekhinah is like that feeling. Okay, it's the presence of God. It's considered like a feminine presence of God. Interestingly enough, whereas in Christianity, God is male, father and son. Okay, the only thing you could say is female is the Holy Spirit, because in Hebrew, spirit is a feminine word. Holy, it defines what kind of spirit. First of all, there's also a lying spirit of God in the Bible, and there's also an evil spirit of God in the Bible. Why they stop at 3 and kind of disregard the other ones is an interesting question to ask too.
Sure.
But so the one of the 3 that they're saying is female is the part of God that made a female pregnant.
That's really, really weird. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
what do you do during the day? I mean, how do you keep coming up with all this crazy stuff? That's so amazing. Wow.
Well, to me, the crazy stuff is these questions that they ask. The issues that they raise. The whole
I got one for you.
The whole problem with Trinity is, do you have any idea how pagan that is? Hinduism, Trinity, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Okay, there's a Trinity.
Okay, another caller just called in and actually hung up.
Go ahead.
No, they already hung up again. So, so I know you guys, when you call in, I'll answer. You're going to hear us talking. We know you're there, but you just got to kind of sit quiet for a few minutes till we can actually get to you. Okay.
We've got only one line.
This is the third phone call we've lost. Unfortunately,
it doesn't go to another line and wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be busy because we're talking into a caller.
Yeah.
Or we'll pick it up and you'll hear us talking because we can't yet go straight to you. Patience is a virtue.
Yes, and I wish this thing would update the latest calls, but it's not doing it. It's okay. It's all right. We'll just I'll answer. Just sit tight. So here's another thing too. We were talking about how you said that the Ruach HaKodesh would be the feminine aspect, so to speak, or the Shekhinah, right? And that's what would have been.
Even if you use the word Ruach,
yeah,
Ruach is feminine.
Yeah, that's true. So, and interesting too is, they associate the Aleph Tav with Jesus. Every time you see et or et, they say that because I'm the Aleph and the Tav, right? And they say that's Jesus right there. I'm like, well, did you know that word at, right, is actually no, I mean at. If you use it as a word, not just as a direct object pointer, and it literally says, it literally points out a calling of a feminine aspect, like atrotza maim, right? Ata rotza maim. So even that, it's feminine. If you use Aleph Tav as saying that's the Jesus figure, you're missing it there too. So was Jesus actually a woman? Was it a different name? There's so many aspects that they try to adopt, and they just completely miss it broadsided.
That's just such an obvious made-up thing.
Right. Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, Darren T. Rabbi, if a convert to Judaism reverts back to Christianity later in life, does one have an obligation to talk him out of idolatry?
Absolutely.
Very good.
Why wouldn't you? I would argue, and I know that there'll be rabbis who will strongly disagree with me, that we have an obligation to try to pull anybody out of idolatry. Okay, take a look and put this up on your screen if you don't mind.
Okay, what is it? Wait, let's take this call. I'm afraid we might drop another caller. Caller, welcome to the show.
No.
Please tell us your name, where you're calling from. Hello, hello. Can you hear us? All right, well, we'll try another one then. Okay. Caller, can you hear us? Welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
We know you're there, but you just got to kind of sit.
Something's wrong with the phones, William.
No, it's the same phone number. It's the same guy as calling. I just recognize the phone number. So now here, this is a different one. Let's see if this one doesn't work. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from. Hello, hello. Okay, I'm going to call it right now because I need to find out what's going on. Go ahead and can you remember what you were talking about just now?
Good, he's calling.
That's the same guy. I'm not even going to answer it. In fact, I'm going to log out and relog back in. Maybe that's the problem. Let me just do that real fast. Log out. And then we'll sign back in. That could actually fix it. That's really sad. I really enjoy the phone calls, you know. So keep an eye on the text. Actually,
I enjoyed talking to you, and I enjoyed talking to the callers.
Yeah, for sure. Delane Davis had mentioned something earlier, but I didn't actually catch it. Maybe you can check back and see what she was talking about.
Wait a minute. Wait. Because I just saw him. Delane Davis. These beliefs were accepted by those in the New Testament because these ideas were already familiar to most. They were part of beliefs and practices of pagan religions for hundreds or thousands of years before JC. And you're right. You know, the dying, saving man god is very common in the Greco-Roman world of the Mediterranean. And there are books and books on this, by the way. You can what was it? You can Google
That's my phone. I'm sorry, I'll turn the volume down.
Greek myth and then Jesus or something like that, and you'd probably get a bunch of different places. There's a multi-volume work. It's called The Golden Bough by Sir James Frazer. Frazer, I think, is Frazer. And it goes back to like the 1800s. And he took the various mythologies and stories, literally everything from Australian Aborigine to, I'm going to mispronounce it, the Didache. Didache.
Oh, Didache. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Didache
or something like
that. And basically, he shows the similarities, the types, real types. These are real types, not, types and shadows types.
Okay, and I figured out. Well, actually, this is not the right number. We'll see what happens. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Hello.
You hear all the static, William?
Sean, can you hear me now? Sean. Okay, there's definitely something wrong with my end because this is like there's three numbers that is called in. This is Sean.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
That's okay. I'm gonna type a message to him. Okay, he can't hear us. So what's the problem? Oh my gosh, I am such a doofus. I know exactly what the problem is. Oi. Okay. Hey, Sean, in about 10 seconds you'll hear this. Yes, we can hear you. Ask your question to the rabbi. Oh, he hung up. Rats. Okay, Rabbi, pick a topic, talk on it. Give me 2 minutes. I've got a wire missing, and I just realized it. We hijacked it over the weekend, and I know right where it's at. I've got to plug it in.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to put you full screen. Just talk for a minute, okay?
All right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go talk about something that just happened recently. And that is, I was speaking at a Christian church, specifically a Methodist church in Belleville, Texas. And I went there explicitly for the purpose of answering questions. And one of the questions I got asked, of course, was, Isaiah 53. And somebody even brought that up in the chat part of the, and in Isaiah 53, they were asking me about, doesn't this really sound like Jesus? And I said, wait a minute. Let's see. What about, the problem with verse 9? And they said, what problem with verse 9? And I said, Isaiah 53 verse 9 says, they made his grave with the wicked and with a rich man in his tomb or in his deaths. Although he had done no violence, neither was there any deceit in his mouth. Okay. Again, this is verse 9. Okay. King James has, as he made his grave with the wicked and with a rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. And I said, you know that the story of Jesus kind of like gets this mixed up. Right. And of course, they also had no idea what I was talking about. And I said, well, tell me, when Jesus died, who was he with? And they said he was with the other two men on their own crosses. And I said, what can you tell me about those two men? And they said, well, they were thieves. And I said, okay, and tell me about, his grave. And they said, well, he was given a burial plot, cave, by a wealthy man. And I said, did you hear what you just said? Okay, he wasn't with a rich man in his death. He was with a rich man in his
burial
grave.
Yeah.
His grave.
We talked about that before. That's good.
And everybody talks about it. This is classic, obvious, biblical comparative religion stuff.
And it's not that it didn't. It's not that it wasn't exactly fulfilled. It was a complete contradiction, total contradiction.
Instead of a grave with the wicked, his grave is with the rich. Instead of a death with the rich, his death is with the wicked.
Absolutely.
And so, I pointed this out to them, and the whole place got dead silent. It's like they had never seen this before. Now,
just for grins, one thing that I actually enjoyed as well, a friend of mine, Lon, pointed this out to me. Let me pull up the software again. Okay, so first we'll go to Isaiah. Let me put it up on the screen. We're going to go Isaiah 53, just for fun.
Right.
Okay.
Did you fix the microphone?
I did. I hijacked one of the wires, and I was like, why can't they hear us? And I was like, blonde moment. Sorry, my wife's blonde, so I can say that. So is my friend Sarah.
I can't say that. Shame on you and your wife.
Hey, she knows.
Just had Mother's Day.
It's really... Sometimes she tells me, she's like, honey, I feel lightheaded. I don't know what's wrong. I said, honey, it's your hair color. If you dye it brown, it won't do that. She loves me, man. Hey, you know what? You can say these sort of things. I'm telling you. Okay, so let me see where I'm at here. I wish these icons was... I wish I would learn. Okay, Isaiah 53. Okay, so what you were talking about was 9. No, 53. 7. What was it? Oh, yeah, right there. 53:9. Now, check this out. Look. Okay, this is what Rabbi was just saying. I'm gonna follow you along here. So he was given a grave. See, is that the King James? That doesn't sound like... No, it's a complete Jewish Bible. But that works, though. And, and he made his grave with the wicked. What is a grave? It's a place you put a dead body, right? With the wicked. But everybody knows, right, that Jesus was put in the rich man's tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. Everyone knows that, right? And then here it says, and with the rich in his death. But everyone knows that Jesus died between two thieves. He didn't die between two rich people. They were wicked people, right? But here's something that kind of catches me too. Because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit found in his mouth. And people, it's funny to me because I used to argue the same point, but now I know better. Okay. I used to say, well, it's very obvious, Israel as a nation, like they've never done wicked before, so it could not be talking about Israel no matter how you slice it. That's what I used to argue. But keep this in mind. Let's go to Zephaniah. You probably know where I'm headed, right?
I do now.
Zephaniah 3:13.
Zephaniah.
Stephen.
What was it?
3:13.
3:13.
Yep. The remnant of Israel. What does it say? Shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouths. Almost verbatim. And it specifically tells you it's talking about the remnant of Israel.
The remnant of Israel.
Specifically. So for a Christian to continuously clinging to Isaiah 53, especially that verse, with both of those two, one is an absolute contradiction in prophecy, and the other one is specifically pointing out it's not talking about an individual, period. It's talking about the remnant of Israel. And you still reject this? Come on, really. You're totally not being truthful. You're not being fair to yourself. You're not studying with the pure heart. You've got an agenda, and you're going to fulfill it, which is why so much of the New Testament was worded the way it was.
Right. Anyway, this just came up because I spoke at a church, so that's why I was talking. So
That's fine.
have they called back yet now that we think they can hear?
Actually, no. But Sean, if you can hear me, call me. Actually, I'm going to try to call him. I don't know if I can. He gave me his number. I sent him a message. I've got his number in my phone anyway. We've talked before. Let me find it here. Hang on. Okay, give me 1 second. Go ahead and say what you were going to say. I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to attempt my very first.
Oh no, I already said what I was going to say.
Which one? Oh, about the church? What?
Yeah, I was speaking at a church when this came up. So,
there's my boy right there. Yep, that's him right there. I am so sorry. I owe you like a weekend adventure in like Hawaii or something. Sean, brother, thank you, man. You know what's really funny? I hijacked.
No, you're all good. I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, am I gone deaf in one ear? So I had to try the other ear.
No, you're good. No, actually, Jason Akers pegged it on the YouTube chat. He said something about the karaoke messed up our sound system, and it did because I stole the wire from here this weekend so that my girls could actually sing karaoke on late Saturday night, and I forgot to put it back. I was like, why can't they hear me? I was like, oh my goodness, and I knew right where it was. So, that Sean, thank you, dude, for calling back in. You're a trooper, man. Tell us your question for Rabbi.
Well, I appreciate you guys very much. I'm blessed to have Tanakh Talk. And here's my question.
Wonderful.
So I couldn't find the verse. I did search for it quite a bit, but I read a verse recently that said in the Old Testament that God was seen by a multitude of people, but yet we have a verse that says that God cannot be seen. So my question is where is this verse? Because I couldn't find it. If you guys know where it is,
I think that God,
and maybe an explanation on how all of them could see God, and then yet we have verses saying that God can't be seen.
I think it was they heard him that they were all at Mount Sinai. Rabbi, you're going to have to narrow this down. They all heard his voice, but they were terrified of it, right? So that's why they kind of screamed. I don't know about seeing it. And there's a whole lot that I've learned over the years, thanks to Rabbi Federow and some other rabbis, regarding the fact of the seeing feature. But I'm going to pass this along to the professional and let him hack at this one.
I don't know what verse he's talking about where everybody saw.
No, not saw. Well, that's what he was saying, but I think it was implied that you think they saw because they heard. But it says, where everybody was at Sinai.
But wait a minute. At Sinai, what did they see?
I'll keep on. I'm sorry for interrupting. I'll keep on searching, but I talked with Chaim Coffman, Rabbi Coffman, about this.
Okay.
And he said something about that these people did see God, but they all died and came back to life or something like that. It confused me, so that's why I figured I would clarify.
That's Midrash. That's definitely like from the Midrash, the Midrash writings. And there's a lot to that. But as far as the text of the scripture itself, I don't believe it says that they actually saw him. I think it says they heard his voice as one nation.
Well, actually,
or something like that.
It's interesting because if you take a look, give me a second.
You can stay on the phone with us if you want to,
okay.
Sean, just for a minute.
Take a look at Exodus chapter 20, verse 18.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me pull it up right now. Exodus 20, 18. Okay, let me put it up on the screen here. Okay, got it. Go ahead, Rabbi.
Remember, because the King James always comes with every single biblical program comes with the King James. It's the cheapest. You don't have to spend money, so that's what I refer to. It's the only reason I refer to it. But
yeah, you're right. I actually had to pay for the complete Jewish Bible. Okay, that's fine.
Right, and the complete Jewish Bible isn't Jewish.
Right.
And has extra biblical books like the New Testament. So
okay, got it.
Exodus 18, it's Exodus 15, I think, in the Hebrew. But anyway, the point is, it says, this is immediately after the last verse of the Ten Commandments. It's the last verse of the 10th commandment of the Ten Commandments.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Right. You're right, it was 18.
It says that, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is your neighbor's. Okay, and then the next verse, it says, and all the people perceived the thunderings and the lightnings. King James reads it as, and all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. When the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. As a large group of people, that's the only thing I can think of that they would have seen at Mount Sinai. Now, let me point something else out to you. And this also bears in the Hebrew. V'chol ha'am ro'im et hakolot.
What verse?
18.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me put that back up.
King James, verse 18. It says all the people saw the thunder.
Okay, so V'kol ha'am ra'im et hakolot.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, right, voice. Okay, gotcha. So they all heard.
That's not what it says.
Right. But how do you see a voice?
Exactly. In other words, the mere expression of God directly to the people was so overpowering to their senses that their senses got jumbled up.
And if you look at this right here, if you look at the actual the call process of it, says to see, reveal, perceive, understand. So it doesn't necessarily just mean see. It can mean see.
But usually, like 99 times out of 100, it means see.
Right.
And they're going to use different words to mean the same thing when they translate, because translators do that.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
the word means see.
Okay, gotcha.
And so when it says they saw the thunder, okay, it means that their senses were so upset over the experience of experiencing God directly that they couldn't take it anymore, and they pulled back.
Right.
All the people saw the thunder and the lightning and the noise. They've seen the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they were moved and stood far off. They said to Moses, "You speak with us and we'll listen, but don't let God speak with us anymore. We're going to die." They're overwhelmed, their senses.
Right.
So I don't know of any place where it says that God was seen by the people, except maybe the effect of God or a manifestation of God, like the cloud
would make
of fire.
good sense. That would make good sense. So, Sean, does that kind of resonate a little bit, or do you have a further question based on what Rabbi's been saying,
or a more specific verse?
No. I'll keep on doing research, and maybe next week I'll call it in if I find it.
Okay, cool.
But no, I appreciate it. So, my understanding then is only Moses has seen God face to face.
And even that wasn't face to face. It was, if you look at the text, it says that, and Rabbi, correct me if I'm wrong, but it says that.
No, you're right.
It says that he spoke to God as one man speaks to his friend. Everyone else, God appeared to them in visions and dreams, but to Moses he spoke to, kind of figuratively speaking, face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. So Moses actually heard his actual voice, like I'm talking to you right now. Sean, can you see me right now? If you didn't have your computer on, can you see me?
I don't have my computer on, but I get the.
You see the point?
The metaphor there. I get the premise.
Okay, cool. Hey, great questions, man. These type of questions are the ones we really need to cover, because everything that you can imagine is being extrapolated, especially now that you've got people like Rabbi Federow, Rabbi Michael Skobac, Rabbi Tovia Singer. People are finding out about these guys, and now they're really reaching and trying to find even more dramatic expressions so that they can try to continuously prove their point. And so unless we discuss these things, the truth won't get out. So great questions.
I appreciate it, and I've gotten a lot of questions from my family, and it's great to have, like I said, Tanakh Talk, and the blessings behind it is extraordinary. So I appreciate you guys.
Hey, thank you, Sean.
Have a good night.
Hey, and thank you. Hey, post more pictures of your homeland, man. It feels like I'm going on vacation every time you put pictures up.
Yeah, I will, just for you, my friend.
You're awesome, man. Love you, dude. Take care, man. Shalom. Bye-bye. All right, cool. Yay, we got the phones fixed. Woohoo! Call me. We'll go late tonight. We will go later. If you guys will call in with questions, we'll stick around. So give us a call back. There was like several calls that came in that dropped, and Sean was not the only one. So call in with your questions. Wow. Yeah, that's really deep, man. Oh my gosh. So what are you seeing, Rabbi? I see you scanning the YouTube page. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm looking at the page, just seeing if there's anything,
Okay, so going back to that Isaiah thing, it's just really bizarre. It blows my mind, because here's the thing. One thing I've got to say to all the viewers out there, and Rabbi, I'm sure you will either confirm or object to what I'm fixing to say regarding the Messiah. In my mind, it's kind of like this. If you go to I have a brother of mine who actually went to apply to become a police officer in Austin. And they rejected his application because there was only one thing of all the many requirements that he failed to follow by, and that is the fact that we came from a physically abusive household. And at the time, I don't know what their status is now, but this is like 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And the thing was, but he goes, yeah, but I passed all these I passed every single thing. It was only this one thing that you guys disapproved of. And I'm sorry, that's all it takes is one thing, and you can't pass. Now think about that for a minute. So if the holy creator of this universe laid out a foundation for what the Mashiach should be, let's say that there's only 5, when there might be 50. Let's say there's only 5. If you pass the first 4, but you fail the 5th one, you're disqualified. I don't care if you come back for a 6th, 7th, and 8th and do miracles. You can't re-qualify when you've already been disqualified. It doesn't work that way. Now, unless I'm wrong, and Rabbi, I'm hoping you will chime in if, like, the moment I say something stupid. So, but does that make sense to you?
I'm sorry, I was looking.
That's okay. That's okay. So,
looking at something else.
So
he was talking about how he couldn't find a specific verse. Okay, and wait a minute. Let me go back to it.
By the way, I hope you all like the actual. And by the way, Jason, these are the natural bookcases. This is not a green screen. The green screen is tucked up in the corner. I didn't have time to set it up. So Jason is always like, dude, stop with the green screen already, man. Just do your office. You're in your office, do your office. So, yeah, so I may actually do that. It was actually a very quick setup tonight because I didn't have to do a lot of lighting and stuff. So, anyway, thank you, Jason. You're awesome. Okay.
At any rate, wil'Liam, there was somebody sent me a question actually about the book of Revelation. There was a passage in it that I just really caught my eye, and it's talking about the final judgment of various souls.
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean various souls? What does that mean?
Various people, I guess I should say.
Degrees? Oh.
So it says people are going to be judged in the final judgment, and it consistently says, and this is what caught my eye, that God will take a look at what they've done and pass judgment on what they've done. And it has nothing to do with faith, and it has nothing to do with believing in Jesus. It has nothing to do with being a Christian. Okay, all it says in the book of Revelation is when this final judgment takes place, they're going to be judged by their behavior, by their acts, by what they did. And I thought, wow, boy, does that contradict Christianity?
Well,
do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Hang on one second. 95. What's our number? 855-952. Oh yeah, sorry. Somebody asked for the phone number. I'm gonna type it in now. 4253. Okay, cool. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Because of what they posted, there's something, and I'm really hoping I can remember the verse because it's been a long time. But there is a specific verse in the where's that? Complete Jewish Bible. That's fine. Okay, so let's go to. I'm gonna look up a scripture. Excuse me. I'm gonna look up a verse in the New Testament, and it's from Hebrews. Hello, come on. It actually it basically says something that most Christians would never ever want to hear or.
Do you know the verse?
I think I do. It's Hebrews 10. I thought it was 10:26, but I don't think that's right. Hold on. Oh, actually, that is right. Yeah, let me put it up on your screen for you. Oh man, you know what? This should terrify you if you're a Christian. For if we because they say that Jesus will forgive. I have heard this said to me many times, Rabbi. If you sin, Jesus will forgive you. I don't care what you've done. I don't care how many times you do it. As long as you ask for forgiveness, He will forgive you, no matter what. But the Hebrews 10:26 says, "For if we deliberately continue to sin after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins, but only the terrifying suspect of judgment of raging fire that will consume the enemies."
So
think about that.
After you believe, you can't sin anymore.
Yeah, once you become, once you join the YMCA, man, if you don't start working out, your butt is in trouble, man. That's the bottom line. And I know that's probably going to offend some people that I'm actually like playing it off funny like this, but I'm telling you, most Christians don't even know their own Bible. If they did, they would have more questions naturally. I'm sorry. but that's the truth. That's the way it works. Okay, let's take this caller. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Oh, hello, Tenax. This is Gavriel from Dallas, Texas.
Hey, shalom, shalom. Welcome to the show. Please, what's your question for Rabbi?
Yes, I got a question. Well, I would like to first thank you so much. I'm in conversion right now.
Oh, wonderful.
Baruch Hashem, me and my family. And my wife's family, they follow the Nohan laws. Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. Amen.
And I got a question.
Okay.
One day I had a discussion about the term Mashiach with a Christian, and I explained the whole thing. There has to be anointed and everything. And he brought me Isaiah 51 about Ciro, and God calls him the anointed one.
You said Isaiah 53:1.
I got a question about that concern. I don't have any doubts about Judaism. I just have doubts about why Hashem called Cyrus the anointed one, but it doesn't say anything that he was anointed.
Let me ask you a question, because I'm kind of lost. I was pretty sure you said Isaiah 53:1, but I'm thinking you might be referring back to like Isaiah 7 something. Because there was a king that was a pagan king. Rabbi, you know who I'm talking about, right? Who says he was anointed, but he wasn't a godly king. Who was this?
I'm not sure what your reference is, but I'm also not sure what his reference is, because I keep hearing him say 51.
That's what. 51. Maybe that's what it was. Okay, hang on. Let me see. I thought he said
Isaiah 51.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, gotcha. What? Do you know what verse? What verse are you referring to? Do you know? Isaiah 51 what?
The first one.
Oh, 51:1. Okay, let's check it out and see what it says. Okay, listen to me, you pursuers of justice, you who seek out and not consider the rock which you cut. You may have the wrong verse, the wrong chapter, maybe.
Hearken to me, you that follow after righteousness, you that seek the eternal. Look into the rock where you are, from where you are hewn, into the hole of the pit where you are digging.
I want to see something.
I don't think that's the right verse. 51:1.
No, I think let me ask you a question. King Cyrus, and this is for the caller. Would they be talking about
45?
Would they be talking about King Cyrus?
You could, because 45:1.
It is Cyrus, yes. Keller, are you talking about King Cyrus, maybe?
Yes, King Cyrus.
Ah, that's it right there. Okay, good.
Okay. Thus says the Eternal to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I uphold.
I'm sorry,
to
it's just
subdue
Isaiah
nations.
45:1. I'm sorry.
There you
Exactly.
go.
No, that's okay.
Now we're cooking. Okay, great. We'll cover this. Rabbi, do you want him on the phone, or should we hang up so we can listen
I don't
in?
care. It's up to him. Up to you.
Okay, let's go ahead and disconnect, and that way you can listen into the program by watching your monitor. Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Hey, you're very welcome. Thanks for
Thank
calling.
you.
Okay. Yeah, this is really cool. Go for it, Rabbi.
All right. Well, Judaism believes that all kings obtain their power ultimately from God. As a matter of fact, there's actually a prayer that one recites in the presence of someone who is a true royalty. Okay, Cyrus was the king of Persia. They took over from the Babylonians. Cyrus of Persia allowed the Jews to go back to the land of Israel to reestablish the temple, which was done under Nehemiah and Ezra. And so God is talking to Cyrus, who as a king was anointed and anointed of God, because Cyrus was doing the will of God by letting the Jews go back to the land of Israel to rebuild the temple.
Okay.
William, did you follow what I said? You went quiet there.
I went quiet because I'm actually trying to edit a screen.
All right. Well, yeah, okay.
Sorry. Hey, now it's 1 for 1. Touche. Explain.
Right. Well, okay, just Isaiah 45:1 says, "Thus says the Eternal to his anointed, to Cyrus,
right,
whose right hand I've held to subdue nations before him." Cyrus of Persia is the one who defeated the Babylonian Empire after the Babylonian Empire had defeated the Promised Land and took over the Jewish land.
So he was
Promised
anointed.
land.
So what was he anointed to do? That's kind of the question, I guess.
It was appointed by God to give the Jews the right to go back to the Promised Land after they had suffered in the exile, lost their land from their sin, and then the punishment was over, and so Cyrus, taking over from the Babylonians, allowed the Jews to go back to the Promised Land, which they did under Ezra and Nehemiah.
Okay.
They went back to the Promised Land to rebuild the temple.
Okay, so my question that's spinning off, that's running crazy in my mind right now, Rabbi, is this. You've said this before, that the anointed, Moshiach, or Moshiach, however that works, it literally means to be poured with oil. So with that said, anointed. If a spoon or a vessel, that same term Mashiach would be applied to that item as well?
Yeah, everybody says this, of course.
Okay.
Anything that's been anointed with oil. What does it mean to anoint something? It means to put oil on it.
Okay, the
argument.
What
does that mean? What does it mean to put oil on it? Who cares if oil's on it? Okay.
Right. Okay.
You know, is this the 1950s where they're oiling their hair, greasing their hair? No. Okay.
Man.
What it means is that God picks them for a reason.
Yep.
They're picked by God, chosen by God with a specific task in mind. So when the utensils of the temple were anointed, it's because they were consecrated to God from having had this oil poured over them. You know, kings were anointed, picked by God to rule.
So what
happened?
happened?
I said before,
what happened with Melchizedek then? Because there's no record of this whole idea.
No, but he wasn't a Jewish king.
Oh.
And remember, he predates
the Torah.
He predated
the Torah.
Let me rephrase that. He had to have been king, at the time Avram, who became Abraham, was picked by God and told to go to the Promised Land.
Wow, that was before. Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So Melchizedek is a pagan king of Salem, I think. I'll have to go.
See, I never knew that. I thought he was because Melchizedek, literally king of righteousness. Why would it be pagan if it literally means king of righteousness?
Why would he beg him?
No, why would he be a pagan king if his name bears the entire title of king of righteousness? Melchizedek. Tzaddik is righteousness. Tzedakah.
Well, wait a minute. My king is righteous is what his name means.
Melchizedek.
Melech Shali.
Oh,
Malki,
my king. Okay.
Tzedek. My king is righteous.
Okay.
Or righteousness. Okay. And in the text here, let me go to it because then I, can give you the.
Let me go to. Tell me where you're going.
Then it goes to the verse. Okay. It is Genesis, and I think it's 14. I'll have to look.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 14:18.
I see it right there. Got it.
Salem.
Okay.
Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. There's an implication there that Melchizedek already was aware of God.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, and then it says that he blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth."
Interesting.
And then verse 20, and blessed be the Most High God, which has delivered thine enemies into thy hand, and he gave him tithes of all.
Okay.
And I think we even talked about this last week. Melchizedek keeps giving. He gives him bread and wine, then he gives him a blessing. Why all of a sudden, with Abraham coming from a battle, winning against many, numerous other kings, why would Abraham give Melchizedek a tithe as opposed to Melchizedek, who's already given bread and wine, already given him a blessing? Okay, all of a sudden, why would it be Melchizedek to give Abraham the tithe? Makes more sense.
Yeah,
and then King of Sodom says, basically, take all this stuff, but let me keep the persons. And Abraham said, I'm not taking any of your stuff because then it makes it look like you gave it to me instead of God.
Huh.
So it makes no sense, it never did, that Melchizedek received a tithe from Abram, but rather gave to Abraham a tithe.
Perfect.
But the point I'm making though, is that Melchizedek may have known about God, and he may have been a high priest of the real God, and some would see it that way. But Jewish kings in the Bible, there are numerous characters, things, objects that were anointed.
Right.
Okay, so I have a list. Give me a second.
Okay, caller, do not hang up. We've got you. Just sit tight.
Right. Just let me finish
pick
this
up on you
real
here in
quick.
just a second. Sit tight.
Okay. By the way, I'd strongly suggest everybody to make a backup of your computer, because that virus that they take over your computer and then tell you got to give them $300, and it's not even in real money. It's whatever.
Oh yeah, that was something that had to do with the NSA. Actually, in fact, my computer builder
Well,
told me about this
wait
today.
a minute. There's a rumor that the NSA was the one who messed up, but
Right.
Yeah. At any rate, let me just do this real quick.
While you look, just to further that point, my computer guy who actually built my computer, he said that's a really serious threat. If when your computer's off tonight when you go to bed, just turn your computer off. Don't let it sit on all night long, because it stays connected to the internet, and they could literally just randomly attach to like millions of computers. So just when you're not using your computer, just shut it off. It's an extra safety measure, so it's good.
Right.
Did you find your list, Rabbi?
Wait, I'm still looking. Just give me a second.
Okay, while you're looking, I'm going to just say hi to our caller. Caller, welcome.
Hello.
Okay, we're gonna. I want to talk to you while Rabbi's looking for a list. How are you?
What? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Here it is.
Echo, but I can hear you.
Okay.
All right, but just give us one more minute,
just sit
though.
tight for just a second, and we'll take your question. Okay. Do not hang up. Okay.
Here's a run-on list. Okay, Aaron and the priesthood were anointed. Exodus chapter 28, verse 41. Altars to God, which were made out of rock. So rocks were anointed. Genesis 28:18 and also Exodus 29:36. The tabernacle of the Ark of the Covenant and all of the utensils used in the Ark of the Covenant and the tabernacle are also anointed. Exodus 30, verse 26. Exodus 40, verse 9. Leviticus chapter 8, verse 10. Unleavened bread, matzah, is also anointed in Leviticus chapter 2, verse 4.
Wow.
Priests were anointed. Leviticus chapter 4, verse 3. Kings were anointed, obviously, in the book of Samuel. Take a look at 1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 16. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 1. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 13. So,
interesting.
Anointed means oil is poured over it, but the implication is that it is being sanctified for God's use. So the Messiah is going to be anointed. All kings are going to be anointed.
Wow.
And according to Jewish tradition, there's a blessing we recite about stay you eternal God, rule the universe, who shares part of his power with flesh and blood.
Wow. Right. Okay.
That's not a bad translation.
No, that's good. I'm good with that.
All right, so go back to the caller.
Boy, okay.
Much more interesting, aren't you?
Definitely. Okay, caller, tell us your name and where you're calling from, please.
My name is Miriam. I'm calling from New York.
Miriam from New York. Welcome to the show. What's the question for Rabbi?
Thank you. It's not a question, it's a comment. I was just kind of curious why Rabbi Federow said that Melchizedek was a pagan king, because everybody says that it was Chaim, the son of Noah. I've never seen an alternative opinion.
I've heard that too,
so
actually.
He was definitely not pagan.
Right.
I mean, maybe the people who were around him were probably pagans.
Okay, cool.
And also, besides the aspect of the tithing, which you mentioned, but I didn't hear everything so clearly, so if I misunderstood something, please forgive me.
Sure.
But one of the other, again, classical explanations is that he came out to Abraham to tell him that even though people had to be killed because of the war, that he was not faulting Abraham, even though like one descendant of his had to kill other descendants, because he knew that Abraham was his ideology was the correct ideology. And in a way, you could say maybe he was even giving over the mantle in a certain sense to Abraham. And there was a very, very big difference between the ideology of Shem and of Abraham. Abraham made some very, very major changes in terms of seeing godliness. Basically, he saw godliness in the world below, whereas Shem and his son Aver and previous, like righteous people, they could only relate to the God that was in the heavens. So that was more similar to like the Eastern way of looking at God. You know, you go on a mountaintop and you live as a hermit, you contemplate it. Abraham basically said, no, that's not. We live it down here in this world. And so his major contribution wasn't monotheism, it was how we relate to God in this world. That was really Abraham's contribution. Most people, because Chaim and Aver also taught monotheism, so that wasn't what Abraham taught. But so that's a very common misconception.
Okay, cool. Okay, Miriam, thank you for your call, and we'll have Rabbi to actually address that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm kind of with her on this. I mean, maybe I'm just, I don't know the stories. I don't know, but I'm thinking the same thing, because I mean, I've never once until tonight. This is the first time I've ever heard that Melchizedek was actually a pagan king. I've never heard that before.
Okay, let me clarify a few things, because I think they need clarification.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I said pagan king. I should have said non-Jewish king.
Oh, okay. You may have said
Abraham,
that. You may have
said
said
that. Because all you had was Abraham and his family back then. That's it. Okay. The second thing I need to clarify is my thing, so to speak, I don't know what to call it, my shtick, what interests me is responding to the efforts of Christian missionaries. And it's well and good, and it's very nice, and hooray for you that you know what Chazal says about who Melchizedek was. But in the eyes of the Christians who are missionizing us, okay, rabbinic tradition doesn't mean diddly squat. When you talk to a missionary, when you talk to a Christian, you either better be able to show it in the Tanakh itself, in the Torah itself, because if you start quoting rabbinic tradition about it, they stop listening.
Right.
From their perspective, there's no reason to listen.
Right.
So in my opinion, which is why I always resort to the Tanakh, the Torah itself, okay, the biblical verses themselves, to prove what I want to prove or to say what I want to say, it's because they can't deny, well, they could, but then they lose completely, but they really can't deny the authority of biblical text, whereas they can deny the authority of rabbinic texts. So it's all well and good. Hooray for you. You know, this is actually Shem, okay, whatever, and therefore he's a priest of God, okay, and they knew about God, but that's rabbinic. Christians who are listening to you are going to look at the Hebrew scriptures, you know, in the Bible, and they're going to say, where'd you get that from? And when you say, oh, well, it's in, you know, rabbinic writings, they're going to say, oh, who cares?
Right.
So
I think it's funny.
My initial response to biblical questions isn't going to be primarily coming from, you know, Talmudic reasoning or rabbinic commentaries. Is going to be coming from the text itself, because they have to accept that.
Right.
You know, there's a professor of mine who's written a phenomenal book. Come on. I probably lent it out to somebody. Whatever. All right. At any rate, whatever.
That's all right.
I hate when I do that. Okay. At any rate, and it's about the New Testament, and basically just completely obliterates it. But the point is that he also would, you know, you can't give Judaism's view of these things unless you quote the rabbinics, the rabbis. And my response is, if we're trying to talk to a group of people and respond to their objections, their Christianity, and they're not going to take anything rabbinic as authoritative, we have to exclude rabbinic texts to discuss with these Christians, because they're not going to care what the rabbis say. William, you following what I'm saying here?
Absolutely.
Right. So
I have a lot of comments that I want to.
I should have said
no.
I shouldn't have said pagan priest. I should have said non-Jewish
That's
priest.
fine. If anything, that was good that you said it, because now it draws it out so it can be discussed. Right. So, one thing I find that's interesting, and this comes up a lot, is that Christianity and Messianics, especially Messianics, they will reject things that are from the oral traditions and stuff. They say they do anyway, but like Christians, for example, they like you said, they cringe when you think oral law and anything Judaism. But then they pray for the food before they eat, not after. So that's a tradition of their own church. Right. So the commandment of God is actually in their, what they call their Holy Bible, their Holy Scriptures, says to give thanks after.
When you have eaten and you are satisfied, then you will thank the Lord your God.
Thank God. But they don't. I do not know one single Christian who ever knew that. Not one.
And you know how I explain that, William? William, if I give you a present, all wrapped up pretty and nice.
2650 quill. What? Okay, go ahead.
Very funny. If I give you a present, if I hand you a wrapped nice present, as soon as I hand it to you, what are you going to say to me?
Right. If you hand me a present,
what are you going to say?
Thank you.
Exactly. But then you take it home, then you unwrap it, and then you see that it's really something you really wanted. Then you pick up the phone, and once again, you're going to say thank you.
But emphatically.
Sincerely.
Yeah.
The second thank you is the more sincere.
Okay.
Because you now know what you got.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, when you have eaten and you are satisfied, then you will thank the eternal your God for the land upon which the food was made. In other words, the second thank you, we say the hamotziv, we say the appropriate blessing for whatever it is we're eating.
Very cool,
man.
But
when we eat a meal, we end the meal also with a much lengthier, a much longer blessing, okay? Because it's a much more from the soul, from the heart, more passionate, more sincere thanks to God because of our having been sated. When you have eaten and you are satisfied.
That's really, really sweet. I just saw these little bouncing, glowing gold streaks fly from your hair just now. You're like this jewel with all this cool stuff. Okay, so.
Yeah, that's my bald head. That's the reflection of my bald head.
Oh, man. Okay, we'll make this. I actually put up a thing with the phone lines closed, final topic. But actually, I want to make this the final topic. This is good. Christopher Williams says, well, Messianics are now using the term Messianic, Ben Yosef, as if Chazal was talking about Joseph the carpenter.
Right. The way I word that, Crystal, the way I word that is they think that Mashiach ben Yosef, okay, the Messiah, the son of Joseph, means anybody who can call his daddy Joe. and the problem with that is that
sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that it's not just somebody who can call his daddy Joe. They're like Ben David means from the tribe of David. Here, Messiah, the son of Joseph, means Joseph, who was the son of Jacob, who was the son of Isaac, who was the son of Abraham.
Oh, man. See, that's another thing I never connected either. That's a really good point.
Well, that's who it's talking about when it says the Messiah, the son of Joseph. And what people forget about is that if you actually, take a look at what the tradition says about the Messiah, son of Joseph, actually go to the sources, okay? Right. Because if they're talking, see, now here's a perfect example. Okay. Christians cannot even know about the concept of the Messiah, the son of Joseph, unless they're looking at rabbinic texts.
Okay.
In that instance, you of course say, wait a minute, here's what the rabbinic texts actually say about it. But if you're discussing the Bible, you have to stick with the Bible. But if they're bringing up rabbinic texts, quotations from the sages of blessed memory, okay, wait a minute. Now they've opened up a whole box of things. So if you actually take a look at what it says about the Messiah, the son of Joseph, as opposed to the Messiah, the son of David, they live at exactly the same time period.
Right. They're contemporaries.
Exactly.
Right.
They are both involved in the war to end all war, the war of Gog against Magog, the war against good people against bad people, good against evil, which from the Jewish perspective never included God and the angels coming in to fight demons. That's not us. Okay. And the first person to die in battle is the Messiah, the son of Joseph, and the Messiah, the son of David, resurrects him. And if you want the sources, I can go fish them out. I got them there. But
I believe
the point is that they live at the same time.
Yep.
And the way the Messiah, the son of Joseph, dies is not by crucifixion, but he dies in battle. So if they're going to quote the rabbinic, the sages of blessed memory, then they should quote it right and be accurate.
Right, absolutely.
But if they did that, it wouldn't support their Christianity. So of course they can't really quote it.
Rabbi,
the way it's written there.
Okay, we need to go ahead and close down. Tell me, let's talk about several things. Number one, I'm going to put your little lower third advertisement up because it actually has the title of your book on it.
Thank you.
And you got, hey Chris, do you have a one of Rabbi's books handy? Because I actually want to hold it up and let people see it. It's really cool. Judaism and Christianity. It's actually on top.
Here.
Oh, there you go. That's
you
fine.
Absolutely insist.
Yeah, there you go. Now show them the spines. They can see how thick it is, so they don't feel intimidated by how big it might be. Okay, now open it up so you can kind of see the text in the center, just right in the middle.
Like that?
Yep, just like that. Let me put you full screen. Hang on. That way they can actually kind of get a feel for what you got going on. Okay, so it's the cool thing about this book, and I really, really like, is because for me it's not intimidating. I'm a movie buff. I'm not a book buff. My wife, she would just rather like throw the TV out in the yard and just read her books. For me, I'm more of a TV guy. So I'm begging Rabbi Federow to put this in movie form, but he will not do it. So with that said, the size of this...
What are you talking about? The first videos you and I made together were based on my book.
That's a very good point. So,
yes.
So this book, if you don't have it, you really should get it. It's a really good condensed. It's like it really is TNT. No joke. It's a very tiny package, very explosive.
And again, unless it explicitly involved rabbinic law, I'm not going to quote Talmudic law. I'm only going to use fire to fight fire with, and that's
right.
And that's biblical verses.
Right. Right. And then I do notice that we do have, at least tonight, a few Spanish watchers out there. Creencia Judía.
Yes. Creencia Judía. CREENCIAJUDIA.org. CreenciaJudía.org.
Okay. And then the other one is whatjewsbelieve.org. You got to go there, and I'm telling you, if you don't have this, I wonder, I've never actually tried this with this. I actually have your app on my phone. I've told many people this. Well, thank you. Hey, don't thank you. It's your app, and it was free.
App, and it's a
let me
Android app.
Let's see. And for me, it's an Android.
Jewish Mission Control.
Where'd it go? There. Nope, that's not the right one. Oh, there it is, right there. It's actually on my phone. It's actually J Mission Control. But here.
Well, no, yeah, that's right. If you type in Jewish Mission Control,
I'm going to try this.
It should come up as J Mission Control.
I'm watching my screen. I want to see if this thing will actually.
And I think it's also V2 if you have a Android version 2.
There it goes. There you go. Whoop. Other side, right there. That's it right there. But the cool thing about this app is it's really, really cool because it's like a quick answer guide. You can click on anything here, dying for sin. I'm going to click on it right now. Dying for sin, and it immediately takes me to a full explanation of why dying for sin doesn't really work in the mathematical scheme of Judaism and mathematics. I'm just being silly. Okay, no original sin. God is invisible. Satan and the devil. God is not human. Messianic Jews, etc. Christianity, Jewish roots. Bibliography, questions. There's so many cool categories on this thing. It's a free app. You don't have to pay for it. So go there, get the app. It's really, really handy. Android and iPhone, right?
Yep.
Man, juicy.
Now I will tell you that Android keeps changing things in terms of its Android programming.
Okay.
So there is a possibility, and I still have to talk to my app writer about this, that it might indicate that there's a problem with it in terms of untrustworthiness, but there's nothing in it that should be untrustworthy. We may have to come out with another version to get her to,
Very good.
catch up to the times.
Well,
but
these are the times.
Yeah, the guy who was helping me, the guy who wrote it when he first started was like a 17-year-old kid.
Really?
And
Wow.
Yes, now he's in college. No, he should be finished with college, come to think of it. And he's engaged, Mazel Tov. And so
Right, Mazel Tov, right.
he's harder to pin down to help come out with a new version. So,
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
at any rate.
Wonderful.
But
Well-
the app is safe. Don't worry about it.
Well, that is all superb news. And I tell you what, well, Rabbi, it's been a great night. It started off looking really rough because I got home at like 5:45, and I knew I had this computer problem, and it wasn't a computer problem; it was a monitor problem. Thankfully, my computer builder actually helped me fix it. So, it was looking very grim. But tonight was really a steamy episode, and I really can't wait to go back and rewatch it again.
Right.
So, any final words for your friends out there?
Nope, just thanks for listening always.
Yep. And thank
you all. I really
all.
enjoy this with you, William,
Yeah.
because we get to talk to each other.
Yeah, I love the back and forth banter. It's really cool. It's really cool.
too.
And really, people keep praying for my mother, please. She's doing better,
Absolutely.
but she's not out of the woods yet. So please.
Before Shlema, complete recovery.
Thank you, Rabbi. Love you guys. We will see y'all. Now everybody sees you. Hey, we agreed. Me and Jason talked tonight, Rabbi. You need to get
good.
You need to get some finger puppets to put on your fingers when you do that.
Thank you.
I love it.
It's going back to my disco days.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. All right, take care,
Hey, I
Rabbi.
used to moonwalk. I'll have you know.
Oh boy. Shalom, shalom. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you,
Shalom,
everyone. We'll see you all next time. Take care. Shalom.